Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Big Ten Under 10 on the Hoosier Network. Graham Nash, Adam Oppenheim with you again today talking men's sports. As per usual, we'll catch you up on football before turning to the hardwood for basketball and then the pitch for soccer. There are only 7 Big Ten matchups in the world of college football this weekend, but that doesn't mean that there weren't dramatics. Let's get you the scores. USC, they escaped another close game, taking down Dylan Raiola and the Cornhuskers 28-20. Ohio State took care of business at Wrigley Field against Northwestern, winning 31-7. The Buckeyes, they're ready to take on the Indiana Hoosiers in a highly anticipated matchup next Saturday. Illinois, they took down Michigan State at home 38-16. Number 4 Penn State smoked Purdue 49-10 on the road. Rutgers beat Maryland 31-17, and Washington took down the Bruins 31-19 under the Friday night lights. Now, the big game and the big headline of the weekend was that number 1 Oregon just barely squeaked out a win against the Badgers in Wisconsin. They won 16-13. Adam, let's turn to you and let's start with that game. What happened to the fast-paced Oregon offense that we've seen so far?
Well, they were slowed down by a really good Wisconsin defense, and Camp Randall is not an easy place to play, but Oregon converted on a huge 4th down later in that game. Man, it's tough to play at Wisconsin. It's hard to blow that team out. For Oregon, they had the running game going, but once again, the passing game in the air wasn't as sharp as it's been early in the season. But still, they settled for field goals in the red zone. They kicked 3 field goals in total. That won't work against better teams, but against Wisconsin, that's a big win to pick up.
In your mind, does this change for you at all where they stand in the rankings, or are they still the number 1 team?
I mean, they still have to be the number 1 team at this point because they have the best win in the Big Ten this season, beating Ohio State. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Beating Ohio State was a huge win. It obviously happened a while ago at this point, but you still have to look at it. And the Big Ten, once again, there's so much talk about the SEC. The Big Ten's not a big-time gauntlet. If you get that ranked matchup and you win, that's a huge boost to your resume, and you really carry that for the next 5-6 weeks.
Last thing I want to talk about for football, last week we had an incredible moment where you were just going in on Penn State. After this weekend, they got a huge win, but against a struggling team. Does it change for you anything?
Absolutely not. I mean, well, once again, James Franklin, you only have those couple games in the Big Ten that you need to win, and he loses them every year. So, I mean, my opinion really doesn't change on him. He has a talented team. He's had talented players. I mean, you had Saquon Barkley play there, Micah Parsons. His teams have been good. His defenses have been top 5 in the nation pretty much year in and year out, but he just can't find a way to win the big game. It's crazy because you look at it in Michigan, Jim Harbaugh, he lost a few straight times to Ohio State, and people were talking about him getting fired. James Franklin can do it 7 or 8 straight years, and there's, him being on the hot seat again? I mean, what are we doing?
Well, James Franklin, that job might be in jeopardy, but let's move from the turf to the hardwood. We're going to do things a little bit differently. We're only going to bring you results from the top 25 teams in the Big Ten, along with any huge upsets that may have occurred, because there are a lot of scores the past couple weeks. Let's get to it. The 24th-ranked Scarlet Knights took down St. Peter's 75-65 last Monday, and then they also beat down Monmouth 98-81 on Friday, which began a long night of intense Friday night action. The 13th-ranked Boilermakers, they made a statement. They beat the second-ranked Crimson Tide 87-78. Purdue also beat Yale 92-84 last Monday. Also last Friday, unranked Wisconsin beat number 9 Arizona 103-88. I mean, beating the Wildcats is one thing, but dropping 100 points on their heads? Whew, that is impressive. The 21st-ranked Buckeyes, they could not follow suit by beating a 23rd-ranked Texas A&M squad. The Aggies won 78-64. However, they did win earlier in the week when they took down Youngstown State by a whopping 81-47 margin. Moving to Saturday, the 16th-ranked Indiana Hoosiers beat the South Carolina Gamecocks 87-71. All right, Adam, wait, where's, oh yeah, Adam's at the big screen. He's going to break down some film for us. Adam, what you got, man?
Thanks, Graham. Something I'm really excited for is that we're going to be doing some film breakdown today. Huge matchups for the Big Ten this past week. So let's look at 2 plays and analyze them. Let's start with number 9, Arizona at Wisconsin. Let's roll tape as Max Klesman gets the ball here. As we stop it right here, once again, Jaden Bradley's going to be being off the dribble. His feet are so far up. And now we'll roll it again as Max Klesman goes in the lane. We stop right here. Once again, defender sinking into the paint because Wisconsin was so good in the paint, and then we roll again. McGee is open for a three-point look. Wisconsin was great on the offensive end. And now we'll go to our next clip. We're going to speed past Alabama and Purdue. That was a big-time win for the Boilermakers, though. Let's go to Indiana versus South Carolina. And if we can go back to Malik Renew on his initial catch. Thank you very much, Colin. So we'll roll there, stop it right there. Miles Rice has the ball on the right wing. Once again, Malik Renew taking the double team, giving it up quickly. Rice, Carlisle, and look at how South Carolina has to rotate as we roll tape. Carlisle, Mbako, too late to recover. Murray Broyles, three-pointer down for Mbako. Indiana's offense was great throughout that game, led by Miles Rice, who had 23 points and 3 triples. That's all I got from the film room. What else you got, Graham?
Thanks, Adam. Well, we took a break from the turf to talk about basketball, but why not? Let's go back to the green grass and talk men's soccer. But wait, there's only one score for you today, as Ohio State beat that team up north 1-0 in the final Big Ten tournament match. They won the trophy. So, Adam, we'll turn back to you. Ohio State, they're Big Ten tournament champions. But today, as we're filming, November 18th, is selection day for the NCAA tournament. Who do you think is going to make it the farthest and have the best chance for the College Cup?
I think it's got to be Ohio State. They've been so good and consistent throughout the year. Brian Masonov is an experienced head coach. And Ohio State, fewest goals allowed in the Big Ten. If I had a second team to pick, it's the Indiana Hoosiers. Todd Yeagley has always made a run to the College Cup. And I think, once again, this year they have an experienced team. They're talented. But those two teams at the top of the Big Ten, pretty traditional picks with how this year is going. But still, you always pick the teams who have the best defense and the best coaching. And I think those two teams are probably at the top of the Big Ten.
We've got a big Indiana-Ohio State matchup coming up, but keep an eye out for those two teams in the soccer world. Our final sport for the day will be men's hockey, which had a good deal of action this past week. Let's get to it. Minnesota, they took down the Bemidji State Beavers 5-3 at home last Thursday, but then lost to the Beavers 3-1 on the road 2 days later. Wisconsin pulled out a close one on the road against Penn State 5-4 last Friday, and then won more comfortably in the Happy Valley 6-3 on Saturday. Michigan State, they smacked Notre Dame 8-3 on Friday, but then only squeaked out a close one 4-3 on Saturday. Lastly, Ohio State beat the Lindenwood Lions 5-2 on Friday and 3-2 on Saturday. And that will do it for today's show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Special thanks to our producer, Colin Dusick, our incredible graphics creator, Daniel Trauberman, and our teleprompter, Henry Thuss. Be sure to subscribe and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at B1G_under10, and come back in a couple of days for our next episode of Big Ten Under 10.